Greetings, brothers and sisters. I just want to do a little introduction today. I got a kind of, I don't know, maybe a funny story. But first, I want to talk about breaking news. So, since I signed on to Twitter on my phone, I wasn't signed on to it for whatever reason, and I wasn't able to watch videos my wife would send me. So I signed into my account on my phone. I really very seldomly go on Twitter. So, whatever. And once I did that, I started to get all these various tweets uh, from like both far left and right wing, political people, diehard Trump supporters and and lefties. And I clicked on some of the lefty stuff, but that went away after a while. So Twitter kind of figured out that I would be more like I get some truther stuff, but it's mostly right-wing truther stuff. But with both of these groups of, people have bought into the left-right paradigm, but they're kind of maybe, semi what would be considered extremists within the very narrow bandwidth of mainstream politics. I would get all these tweets that said breaking news, and I'm still getting them. There was one this morning, breaking news, George Soros sells his Tesla stock, right? And there's, so I click on some of them when I have time, just to see how, not breaking it is. I mean, aside from being clickbaity, and I know the Democrat people do the same thing, but aside from being clickbaity, it's never true. It's never breaking news. It's never what I consider even newsworthy. Things I very seldom would ever cover here. And it's always exaggerated. And it always comes with, there's lots of QB kind of attitude that this is it. This is what we've been waiting for. Great pumpkin stuff, right? This is finally happening. Donald Trump is about to be arrested. Hunter Biden is about to be indicted, these things. Soros is finally going to be investigated, right? Things like that. It's just all this, everything's so controlled and contrived right now. I don't think they have any room for error in terms of, it's a very volatile situation, politically and, people's motivation and things, and in terms of distracting people. The show is very much more controlled than it was before. And there's sensationalistic news coming out every day. And the stuff that you get that is directly fed to your interest level, especially for the way that social media is, right? They want you to engage. And so they sensationalize every little event or whatever it is. But, it's not breaking. Breaking would be seeing Trump in a orange jumpsuit in jail, when I see him actually in prison. That would be breaking. Or Hunter Biden in prison. That would be breaking. But really breaking to me would be something more like half of California just fell into the ocean because of an earthquake. Or, I seen a mushroom cloud into some city in America or, Russia or something like that, right? Something that would be this is real, things just changed dramatically. Because, there's been a lot of intense things, but not knockout blow type of things. Nothing close to that, right? Breaking news would be something, even a second pandemic wouldn't be breaking news, right? It's just, think about, how sensationalized that was. And that was, the biggest thing that happened, in forever on a global basis. The economy has collapsed, right? The dollar is now, there's 200% inflation, things like that, something that would drastically change people's lifestyle. It's just a slow drip. Businesses are closing and people are having their personal apocalypse. People are collapsing themselves. The system is collapsing around them. Business is slow, then all of a sudden it gets slower and then, not all of a sudden. And there's no all of a sudden. The only thing all of a sudden is people having cardiac arrest out of nowhere. That's one of the few sudden things. But pretty much everything else is a slow drip. And then, you see just the economy is is much worse, but like there's just some evidence of it, right? Some people are, losing their businesses, losing their homes, losing their whatever, right, financially, and that's just about it. But there's no like breaking news like this. It's I mean, I've not seen one headline. This is maybe going on for a month, and every day I wake up, my phone says breaking news on it from Twitter. And I'm like, there's almost never anything that's close to breaking. George Soros selling his Tesla stock is not breaking news. And, it's just, it's just, well, why does that even matter to anybody? Like, I mean, I cover stuff that's more intense here, and it doesn't really shouldn't matter until it affects you, right? Things that affect you personally. When you see an effect, and we all see that things are going in that direction, right? Like it's, we're entering in a collapse phase, but it happens when it happens. There's some predictions from the, the Sajmark predictions, the Whispers of the Brighter World, and I've talked about these things before, and in so many different videos, but when they happen, they happen. Like even if I believe the source that's giving me these predictions, things change. Like that's. Planet Earth, there's a planet Earth in the third dimensional reality. There's a script, but things change. Like things are going to happen. It's just a matter of when. It's not, sometimes like there's some updates or whatever, just like anything else. Like things change in your life. Course of events can be changed by decisions and just, other things that can happen, divine intervention, whatever it might be. And so, until something happens, it hasn't happened. Like that's. Whether it's cyclical time and whether we're, caught in a linear plane of time where we're going moment to moment when it's actually cyclical, there are things that are going to happen that have happened already on some other plane of existence. When you rise beyond the fourth dimension of time, then time is not linear, right? And so for that level, it's already happened. But for us, we're living moment to moment until something happens. It hasn't happened yet. And, I mean, there's been some big news over the years, but it's all been kind of fake and, controlled. When something is out of control, right? When something is, the system itself, or is just like an end to the system type of event where the system's never going to be the same. Your life is never going to be the same. Everybody's affected by it. On a certainly a country level, a local level, or something like a global level. Then there's that. Otherwise, there's no breaking news. So the other thing I want to say, I was in Home Depot with my wife yesterday. It was Mother's Day, and we wanted to get things done in our, homestead. So we had all this work we had to do, and we went to Home Depot, and we forgot some things, and we had gift cards. We use our points, and you can buy things with your credit card and it turns it into points. And you can get these gift cards, which is, usually we spend them in like Home Depot. And we had these gift cards, and the cashier, I had the picture of the gift card on my phone, and it wouldn't scan, which they never do. So, but there's a number there that they punch in, and then there's a PIN number. And I've done it a lot. And the girl said, we don't do that. And she got her supervisor, who was like a girl in her 20s. And she's like, we don't do that, right? And I'm like, oh, my God, this is, and I told my wife, and she was like pissed. She's in the other part of the store. We're trying to, we had our dogs in the car, so we're conscious of them. Like it was like this, they parked in the shade, but, whatever it is, right? And so we ended up leaving, and it was like kind of a crappy experience. And then we were going to go, we had to go back. And my wife was attending to the card thing. We went back like after dinner, or right before dinner. And my wife, went and they fixed the card thing. Like we brought the receipts in and whatever it is, right? Because we had to buy, whatever it is. Like that was just like annoying. And I'm in the aisle and I'm waiting for, this guy was like the employee of Home Depot to show me something where I'm looking for something in the hardware department. And like I couldn't find it, whatever. So I had to wait for him. And I'm waiting for him, and this old woman comes up. She goes, you never can find a sales rep. Maybe you can help me. I have these holes I want to drill. I have two little holes I have to drill in my wall or something. And she goes, I just need to buy a drill. And I showed her, like, we buy Ryobi because they're fairly the least expensive, and they have the most kind of different tools that fit with the batteries, because the batteries are what it costs you. These lithium batteries, these rechargeable batteries that you can use on all these various devices, drills and saws and all these things, right? And so I showed her, the drill that I would get. And she's like overwhelmed. And then the employee shows up, and he's supposed to be attending to me because he was dealing with somebody else. He said, I'll be right back. And then she jumps in, right, even though I'm the one standing there waiting for the guy, right? She's old. It's like Mother's Day, so I'm like, all right, I'm not going to say anything. And she asks about drills, and the guy is not very, this guy's kind of helped me before, and he sucks. Like, he's just not, he doesn't understand what people are asking him, and he's not very good at communicating. And, so I jump in and, try to help move this process along. And finally she settles on this, like, little, handheld screwdriver, like a little electronic screwdriver that comes with a battery and something that charges it, right? And so it's like $20. So it comes with 2 screwdriver bits, and you have to buy like extra drill bits. And she asks 10 minutes worth of questions about the thing. And I'm not like exaggerating. A third guy shows up, and he's just like, he recognizes what's going on, but he hasn't been there for the full 10 minutes yet. I mean, like, and he's like, probably about 5 minutes, because it went on after that. He's like, no, that thing's great. This is what you need. My sister has it. Like, he's trying to sell this lady on the thing. And she's going back and forth and asking each of the 3 of us questions and asking for a second opinion. She'd ask one person a question, then she'd ask the other 2 guys the same question. Like, And I'm like, well, maybe she doesn't have any kids and she's lonely on Mother's Day. I don't know what but she clearly isn't trying to buy this thing. And then there's another drill that's similar, that's smaller. These small, like, little, almost like Dremel drills. And that has a handle on it. It's like $15 more. And she goes, well, if I bought this one, would I get my money's worth? Is it worth $15 more? And I'm like, well, one you hold like a gun, and the other one you hold like a screwdriver. That's essentially the difference. I don't think there's much of a power difference. She goes, well, is there another battery in here? And this is just an extra battery? Like, just every possible question she could ask about the thing. So finally I go, look, I got to go. I go, and I need this guy to just, show me where this thing is. And and I thought I needed him to, like, open up a cage, but I didn't, because I thought it was something that might have been, like, locked away. And so, and so I, and she goes, okay, can we get another sales rep here? Like, she wanted a third person to come in and just answer these questions, right? And so the guy and I are laughing about, my wife had showed up at that point. She got done with the thing that she did, which took forever. And she said she was there, and somebody was checking out in this sort of service area, the desk area where people return things. And she had switched prices of like, she was buying trash can and some other things. She had switched the prices, the tags on it, and they, recognized it, and like something was going on. The woman looked like she was, like, basically homeless. And she got up to the register, and the people told her, they were laughing about it, what she had done. And then my wife got all the stuff switched over from our credit cards onto the gift card, right? Like, it's just all, we could be working and doing things that we need to do, right? So just, like, all that kind of stuff. It just shows you, like, the degradation. So I get this guy, and he's laughing about it. I'm like, I think she's just lonely or whatever it is. But, and then, like, he's no help at all. Like, he can't understand what I'm asking him for. It's just very simple. And so finally, I figure it out on my own using the phone and the app. I'm like, oh my God, I just wasted all my time for nothing because this guy's worthless. The employee. And then we go back, and we have a few more things to get on the other side of the store. And then we're walking back through hardware. My wife is She went one way and I went the other to grab stuff to expedite the process. And she said she walked by them again, and the guy had opened up the package of the screwdriver and was reading the manual to the woman, right? Like, so she was there, it took her, and was over like probably, and, he said, I got other things to do when we were talking about it, and this woman's won't let me move on to other things. I'm like, yeah, don't go back to that aisle. Eventually she'll just have to leave or, whatever. But my wife, saw them, and he's reading the manual to her, right? And, there was a point where I was like, here, she goes, well, are these drill bits? I'm like, no, that's a Phillips head screwdriver bit, and that's a flathead screwdriver bit. It's a screwdriver, but it's also a drill. It has these hex head, the bottom of the bits have these hex heads on them, and they snap right in. And she goes, well, how does this thing work without a power cord? You can see that it had a USB-A cord in there to recharge it, right? Like all these things. I said, those kind of drills don't exist anymore. Like my dad had this drill, and the thing was weighed 10 pounds. I'm not exaggerating. It had a key that was hanging off some string that, my dad had tied the key on so he didn't lose it. And it had these, the key would open up the part that you put the drill bit in, and then you'd close, then you'd spin it back in. And have a long cord, and then you'd have to get an extension cord, and to get it to wherever you needed to use the thing, right? And now they have these. I said, they discovered lithium, and everything's changed now. You get these rechargeable batteries, and they're interchangeable. And I'm like, you just, you plug the thing into your wall side, whatever it is, USB thing port, and I go, things have changed. There's no longer cords. This is, $20, and she's got 2 little holes to drill. So I get her drill bits. I, give her these drill bits. These are the drill bits that go with it. They're like $3. And I'm like, you get out here, $23. You go in here, drill your 2 holes. Then you return the thing if you want, because it's freaking Home Depot. You obviously don't care about wasting your time. So, just and I'm like, there's YouTube videos out there. You just Google the name of the thing. It'll show you how to use it. Just, I can't do that kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah. That's when I was like, all right, we're done here. Like, I got to move on. You're never going to buy this thing. Like, you're looking for somebody to talk to or whatever. And, these kind of interactions and the incompetence of the employees at the place shows you just the stupidity of things, right? When you start to know more as a customer than the employees, I did more of the talking than the employee, trying to, get this woman to motivate her to make this epic $20 purchase. And, there's, people are nice or friendly or, they can be, artificially kind or whatever it is, right? And maybe, sincerely. There's people out there, whatever. There's genuine good people out there. But the level of incompetence in human beings right now, because things are so easy. Like I'm talking about the difference between the drill my dad had to use and the tools we have. These amazing tools that recharge, these batteries that you get, you buy a tool, you get another lithium battery with it, and, how you can walk around anywhere and bring these tools, and they're portable, and, so many of these things are user-friendly. And then you have the tools that, that construction workers have, and people, or they have, these powerful, whatever it is, right? And if you don't know how to use it, you just look on YouTube and someone tell you how to do it and show you how to do it. And there's tips there. I watch videos like that all the time. And then even in the store, we have these phone apps to find the things. Half the time, a person says, oh, yeah, we don't have that, right? And I'm like, well, here it is on your website, oh, that, or they look it up, whatever. And so it's so much easier to do your job. And I've noticed over the years that people are now wearing earbuds. They can wear earbuds while they do their work. They're stocking shelves with earbuds and, self-soothing, all this self-soothing stuff they do. And they still suck, right? The technology's gotten better, but we've gotten worse. Weaker, less ability to understand things and process and comprehend what's going on around you in the world and things. And there's very little to save, right? It's not going in the right direction. It's what I always talk about. Just if you interact with people, you see it. I mean, I don't interact with people, barely at all. But when I do, I see it. Like, I'm like, oh my God, it's worse than I thought. And so that's why things are going to break down. That's why there's going to be real breaking news at some point, because, people are not getting it done, right? People are going in the wrong direction. We're becoming weaker, stupider. I mean, it's idiocracy, right? And there's a weakness here. Like, the stupidity is one thing, but people are just so weak. They have no will force, no ability to make a decision. They're hand wringing all the time, and it's like pathetic, right? And you can see, the effects of our system, and the technology is getting better, and the comforts are there, and the lifestyle, but the weakness is there, and you see it with the most wealthy people, the inability to deal with issues, and any kind of things that are going on in the world, process things, make decisions, go through life, like total incompetence. Like, people are completely incompetent at being people. I talk about zoo animals, right? Like, animals lose the ability to be what they're supposed to be. And we're the ultimate zoo animals. Like, we've lost the ability to be natural human beings. And weakness is entered into our genome. Like, just, the weak are surviving. Like, the herd never gets thinned out, and the weak just keep on reproducing. The mentally ill, and the system carries them along, right? It carries, I mean, you see, like, they're being glamorized, the broken. I've talked about the year of the broken. The broken are being, propped up and really celebrate. Oh, it's okay to be broken, and, patting them on the head. No, it's okay. It's good. And look at this. That's all we ever see, right? Oh, you can't do your job today. Okay, you're broken. It's okay. Take a year off, right? We'll keep you going. Like, just all right. You can't be a human. Let's sit here and we'll do everything for you. You just and it's just not sustainable. All right, so I got a few things to get into here. Okay, so let's start here with Jen Psaki, who really sucks at her job. And I saw this headline and really wanted us to lead with this. Representative Allred to Jen Psaki. Cruz is only in it for himself. This guy's running against Ted Cruz. Now, I've always disliked Ted Cruz. There was a time where Ted Cruz was the most disliked person in the Senate by both Republicans and Democrats, and just an annoying guy, unlikable, unredeemable. But this person, the left is just, they're trying to be worse. Like, they're always trying to be like more condescending and more like self-righteous, and make someone like Ted Cruz appeal to you. Like, that's how bad it's become, right? But let's start here.
Joining me now is Congressman Colin Allred, who represents a district very close to where the shooting happened yesterday. He just announced his run for Senate against...
He's running against Ted Cruz, and inside with Jen Psaki.
Ted Cruz. You were born in Dallas. You are raising your two sons there. They're fifth-generation Texans.
That's right.
So before
Fifth-generation Texans.
ask you about the politics about this, I wanted to ask you about your reaction as a parent.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that I'm joining you under these circumstances. Every North Texan knows that outlet mall. It's a place where you can go to get good deals. It's not a place.
That's where you go. You go to the outlet mall to get good deals. But now that's been ruined for folks.
We should be worried that a madman's going to come in and try and murder you and your family. And I couldn't agree with you more about being so worried about your kids. Every time I send my 4- and 2-year-old off to school or see them go off with someone else, I worry about them. My little 2-year-old, waddling with his little diaper butt, just the feeling that maybe something...
You know who else waddles with a little diaper butt? The president.
could happen. But it doesn't have to be this way. Our public places don't have to become memorials. That church could just be where your daughter got married. It doesn't have to be the site of the next mass shooting. This is
exactly. Like, it's just, we can get rid of all those things. How do we do that?
Policy choice. These are policy choices that have been made by the state of Texas and, of course, largely blocked in the United States Senate, leading with Ted Cruz.
Now, Congressman Jeff Leach, who represents Allen, a district very close to your current congressional district, had this to say last night.
Here we are, and we are resolute in our commitment to pray for praying and believing for the victims and their families. There are many, many people in our community tonight who are hurting, whose lives have been shattered, and who
Breaking news.
who need and deserve our collective prayers, and
We need prayers. More prayers.
they have them.
Prayers aren't going to be enough. Something tells me these guys are not going to want to hear about prayers.
Now, everybody puts forward thoughts and prayers. Of course, everybody's praying.
Everyone does. Everyone's praying. We're a bunch of prayers. Everyone in America prays all the time. They hear about something happening bad to somebody else, and Americans immediately pray, because that's what Americans do. We're all prayers, and we like to pray. And, we're just going to pray. Anytime we hear anything, we just pray for other people all the time. That's why there's so much God saturating America and so much divinity, because everyone prays. Come on, we're a bunch of prayers.
People during this moment, but he didn't have any solutions in there. How do you reason with somebody like that?
Well, prayer is important, but so is
Prayer is important, but it doesn't work. We need solutions. We need things that really work.
action. And we know that there are common sense steps that we can take to make sure that this doesn't happen in our country. We're not more violent than other countries. We don't have a more...
We are more violent. What are you talking about? Like, Texas is a big football state. Football is the most violent game. Like, look at the difference between soccer and football on a global basis. But then we spend more than half of our budget on military-industrial complex, weaponry, developing weaponry, which sometimes we give away to people like in the Ukraine, for example, other countries, or sell. And it's being used, this weaponry that's developed by American companies, American governments, is causing violent damage all over the world. Plus, there's all the violence in our TV shows. We're the most violent. I mean, maybe there's some small countries, but we, everything about our country is to produce an army, right? To produce we're the number one military in the world, and there's a culture that goes around with it. Like, how can you just say that? Like, we're not more violent than anybody else.
predilection to violence in this country. We have easier access to weapons of war that can do more damage than other countries do.
Which makes us more violent, right?
Why we keep having this happen over and over and over again. It's a form of mass terror. When you don't feel safe in public, it's also impacting your freedom. This is something that I think we all understand implicitly, that if you're not free to go out to the mall or to the movie or to your place of worship, then you have been impacted by this. And that's what we are seeing. Every single parent, I think, on Monday, tomorrow, is going to feel something when they drop their kids off at school.
Exactly. Like, you're going to be worried and scared and all these things. Breaking news.
Feel that worry.
I know I do. I know you do.
I know I will.
They do. I do, you do, we do. Well, maybe we can pray, but praying doesn't work. But we all do pray.
Yeah.
Here's the Ted Cruz piece.
A couple of hours before this latest shooting, Senator Cruz was attacking you over comments you made 5 years ago about whether it would be better if the Second Amendment was never written. He said, wow, this guy wants to represent Texas. Do you want to give
Look at they got him with this picture.
more context surrounding those comments and what you were trying to say there?
Well, that's, they're cherry-picking comments, of course, taken trying to explain to somebody that we could not get rid of the Second Amendment, that we have to work to try and, within the confines, to try and find ways to protect law-abiding gun owners, to make sure that people do have their rights protected, but in a way that's also consistent with protecting our overall freedom and our overall communities. And I think that's possible. This is not, we should stop acting like this is something we can't do.
Stop acting like it and pray and breaking news.
Ted Cruz wants to talk about all the things that we can't do, how small we are as a country, how small we are as Texans, everything we should be afraid of. I have a different...
Exactly. You would never do that. Like, you and Jen Psaki weren't just talking about how you're scared to drop your kids off at school or anywhere else, and you didn't talk about how we live in a terror state or anything like that. You didn't do that. Like, you wouldn't use fear. That's what Ted Cruz does, not you.
Story, one about all the things we can do together, because I've seen it. I was raised by a single mother in a community where I know I wouldn't be sitting here right now if we were who Ted Cruz thinks we are.
So another challenging policy matter is, of course, immigration. And you're running to represent a state that's on the border. How concerned...
Yeah, how's that going? How's that going right now?
Mom and aunt were raised. Spent most of my summers driving down there, even going down to board up my grandma's house when a hurricane was coming. I understand these communities are under a lot of pressure, and that when we see these surges of migrants, that we need to have a response commensurate with that. And so I think one thing,
You know where the response might be? Breaking news.
we've gotten wrong in D.C., whether it's this president or previous presidents, is just treating this as a political issue, not helping these communities to feel fully supported. And so yes, the lifting of Title 42 is going to bring some additional challenges. But this is partly because we have folks like Ted Cruz in the United States Senate who won't allow us to pass any kind of comprehensive immigration reform or any kind of reform at all that might help us better address dealing with folks coming to our border, because it's too good of a political issue, Jen. That's why they don't want to deal with this. We've had frameworks before, whether that's in the Obama administration or George W. Bush, my former constituent. We've had frameworks, bipartisan, where we know we can try and do something. We haven't acted on this since the Reagan administration. I think we can do something.
So as you're preparing to campaign, do you want President Biden, Vice President Harris to come campaign with
No,
you
you don't.
in Texas?
I've always said this is going to be about Texans talking to Texans and neighbors talking to neighbors. I said that when I ran in 2018.
So I don't want him. So you don't want him. You're ashamed of that diaper-wearing dude and his cackling vice president.
So that sounds like you're not inviting them to campaign with you at this
Listen,
point in time.
I'm never going to turn anybody away, but this is not going to be won by outsiders. There are 30 million Texans
Outsiders. It's going to be won by Texans.
who deserve a better senator than Ted Cruz. That's the truth. Every Texan knows, even folks I think who are going to vote for Ted Cruz, that he's only in this for himself. He wants to.
So that's the line I want to get to. Only in this for himself. Every politician is only in it for themselves, right? To be a politician, to be someone who says, I want to lead people. I want to have power. Again, initially, some people might get into politics to, make the world a better place, right? Some of these people, whatever. Even people get into business to do that, right? But somewhere along the way, you realize that's not going to happen, and it's not about that. Because America is built on selfishness, right? You get money. I talked about this comedian I was listening to. When you get money, the first thing you do is move away from people, right? Like he was talking about, the comedian was, he had a gym membership that was $250 a month, and there's another gym that had basically the same equipment for $40 a month, but for the $250 you were getting less people around you while you worked out, right? It was more exclusive. And people like to exclude. When people get money, they exclude. They move into these exclusionary neighborhoods, gated communities, where rich people live, right? And they go to their rich country clubs, all these things that are exclusive, keeping, the majority of people out, right? And that's America is built and predicated on that, where you have levels of entitlements based on your income and your position of power, right? This is why they're taking all these immigrants and dropping them off at Kamala Harris's house. These people who are above the fray, that are making policies that don't affect them, making having opinions of things that don't affect them, right? Both on the right and the left. It's not exclusive to the left, certainly, and they're not worse at this. The right has for years taken money from the military-industrial complex. The right has always been the party of war, right? Making it miserable for people all around the world with these weapons that are being shipped out, they're doctors of death, right? All across the globe to, create conflict and things, destabilizing governments. But it's a selfish country. We do things for ourselves. We don't do things for other people. This idea that we're all praying, for other people. I mean, I do, a spiritual practice that involves meditation and prayer, and I was talking about how I don't pray for like I could pray for people a lot more than I do, but I don't, right? And I could, and it would actually probably have an effect based in all the work I've put into getting closer to God, right? But there's just a selfishness and a competitiveness, and doing for oneself and being competitive and beating the next guy, the next family or whatever, keeping up with the Joneses. And that's how America is. It's based in selfishness, right? It's based in doing for oneself. And these people who want power, they all want it for themselves. They can say whatever reason they're doing it, how they, they got a higher mind, and Ted Cruz is corrupt, and this guy, but they're all doing it for themselves. It's a selfish pursuit, right? It's a selfish job. It's something where it's an ego-based job. It's to fulfill your ego in one way or another. It's about prestige. It's about, and even though everyone dislikes the majority of people, it's like a 10 or 12 or 20% approval rating. I mean, it's always way below 50% for the Senate, even more for the Senate than the president, more for the Congress than the president, right? But people don't approve of politicians. Everyone knows you're a liar. And you come out and you say you care, people know that you don't care, right? And so then people vote for the person that's going to be best for them personally. There's no way anybody would vote for Joe Biden. They people wouldn't hire Joe Biden personally. They don't like the guy. He doesn't have real fans. He's a career-long politician, and they thought he would be better for them than Trump. They would get a better deal from Joe Biden than Trump, right? Because people, care about the deal they're going to get. It's all selfish. We're a selfish country. We're a violent country. And for this guy to come out and say we're neither of those things, right? And how people are, and this idea that everyone's praying, but it's not working. No, not everyone's praying. Very few people are praying for anybody else, right? And if they are, they're not doing it effectively. There's a deprivation of spirituality in America, and the liberals are pushing for it more than the conservatives push religion, which is its own nightmare for connecting people to God. Religions act as a middleman between you and God, but the left is just going full demon, and this whole immoral the brokenness agenda, pushing brokenness on the country. And it's imploding, right? And so, and it should. The country should just cease to exist for what it is, right? It just, it can't sustain itself. Okay, continuing on, let's check in with the Fettermans. She's changed her background here. I know love is real because I exist and I'm full of it. Yes, I think it's something we can all agree on. Giselle J. Fetterman is full of it. Right? Still no idea where I'm taking him, and is just following my driving orders as he should. Alex, I'll take things handlers say for 500. Right? Look at him. Look at how miserable he is. She's literally sucking the life out of this ogre. This witch is sucking the life out of this ogre. You can't get she's got a strong eyebrow game here. That's what she uses to. Look at him. He's getting depleted right next to her there. What the hell is that? Photographer captures UFO at coronation. Get rid of that there. There it is there. A little dot in the sky over the, they blew it up so it looks something like that. So, something's going on there. One of my viewers sent this to me. Me trying to meditate, and these are my thoughts. I'll talk about this a little bit in my journey series about dealing with thoughts of meditation, because it's, people think that they're supposed to be thought-free, and that's not the case. Thoughts are always going to be there. Your mind is active. And to get into a meditative state, that's just, you're shifting it from, from an active state to where you're in not a passive state, a receiving state. One of my viewers sent me this on JoJo Magoo. I don't know what's happening here.
I honored a group of trailblazing artists with National Medals of Arts and Humanities. The group included groundbreaking Asian Americans like Vera Wang and Joan Shingang, I'm going to pronounce it right, Shanga Kawawa.
I know that's not right.
I think I pronounced it correctly.
No, you didn't. JoJo was great.
She can call me Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Do your Joe Biden. The problem with that is that she doesn't have dementia, right? Like, well, I mispronounced her name, so she can go ahead and mispronounce my name. Well, that's not like, we're not, you're not a child. This is an elementary school. You're the president. And you're supposed to be able to, I mispronounce names all the time, right? I have a comedy channel. I'm on YouTube. He's the president, right? It's not like tit for tat. You can't do it, which is, like a sign of your senility. When you're clearing out the garage and you keep getting distracted by cool stuff you find, here's the orb. It's supposed to mean he's God's representative on earth. This guy doesn't believe it, though. Neither does he, right? He's just a pathetic, sad sack waiting for his turn, and now his hands are too swollen, and his mind is too small, and he's demented. And my wife sent me something. There was these Scottish guys calling him Jimmy Savile's best friend, right? And his brother Prince Andrew is Epstein's best friend. So it's a good way to look at it. Britney Spears on caffeine addiction reports, I do what makes me feel most alive. It says here, Britney Spears is hitting back at claims that she's been amped up on caffeine and energy drinks and not sleeping for days at a time. My mind gets busy, and sometimes that can be easy target, she captioned in an Instagram post. In every relationship, there's a person who falls asleep instantly, and the other person lays awake wondering how that's even possible. So you're an insomniac, which explains a lot. Insomnia, it's hard to function when you aren't getting any sleep. I'm sharing because summer is around and coming and around the corning, and I'm sweating my toots off like there's no tomorrow. You don't have air conditioning in your house? Not really, to get in shape, but I like to sweat. I feel like I've accomplished something, I just started ballet lessons, and it's really different. Keeping my head held high is not always easy if your confidence level isn't so high. I do so small workouts because I don't like long. I know the meditation yoga is good, but I'm honestly not into it at the moment. I'm reposting a lot of footage because it's good to backtrack when a lot has happened, and to look back and realize it makes sense now. My mind gets busy, and sometimes that can be an easy target to mess with. Anyways, I'm sticking to watermelon juice, which is the weirdest thing ever, but I was told for years I can't have coffee, and now that I can, it's my pride. I can't even look at it, and green tea is my prized possession. You clever little turds. Sorry, but I never stay up late with Red Bull. It's absolutely the worst drink ever. I make jewelry, candles, and doll clothes for my friends' daughters. Don't like people in the media bullying me and saying hateful things. I like checking some of my fans. How are you guys doing? What's going on in your lives? How are you feeling? What are the activities you're doing these days? I forgot how crazy she is, right? Apparently she posted this on TikTok with her crying. It's now deleted, but one of my friends on Instagram must have copied it before she deleted it. Here I am crying. I'm so desperate. I'm crying. Look at me cry. Look at me spin. I'm spinning. I'm dancing. I'm crying. I'm spinning. I'm crying. I'm crying. I'm spinning. Look at my hair. Look at me. I'm so desperate. I'm so needy. Oh, I better delete this video. One of my viewers sent me that, and here she is doing her modeling thing. There we go. Put my fingers in ass, put my hair, put my leg up, put my arms around. I mean, maybe it's just an act. Like, I hope it's an act. Oh, we're going to do some dancing. Look, I'm breaking into a dance. Look at my arms. Look at my arms, my hair, like up the thing. Boom. I got my caffeine on. Look, that's my face. That's my thing. There's my fingers. They're pointing at you. Fast move. Look, it's a little twirl. Throwing my hands around. Back at you. Going the thing. Looking on. There's my hair. Wait, 0. Boom. Shot you. Kaboom. There it goes. Doing that one. Doing this one. There's give you a little Illuminati gang sign. There we go. The upside down devil's horns. Woo, look at me go. Look at me go. Grabbing my boobies. Gonna flap around. There we go. We're gonna go. Look at me go. Look at me go. There's my tramp stamp. Hey, look at this. Look at that one. Look at those. Look at these. Hey, there we go. Where are my arms again? Reaching out to you. There's my smile. See my style? Oh, there's my frown. There's my silly face. There are my hands again. There's my neck. There we go. Pointing out right there, right there. I should have been choreographer. Okay, flip my hair again back to the beginning. I hope it's, like I said, I hope it's an act, but if it's not, she's just crazy. Content crash. Vice files for bankruptcy. So that happened. Kenya doomsday death toll hits 200 with more than 600 reported missing. The victims were allegedly told to starve themselves to beat Jesus. Their bodies are being exhumed from mass graves in the coastal county of Kilifi. This was an article. I think this person is a one of those housewives, right? I forget. I lost the article here, but there was some article about her. There's this Ozempic stuff going on, and here she is proving she's not on drugs to lose weight.
Okay, Harrison, this is something that I want to do for you, but for everyone else too.
Love your outfits. Is the designer Leia Ozempic? Weighing myself to silence the noise.
Okay, I am 5'8".
This is bogus. I don't believe it. She's doctored her scale.
I weigh 155 pounds.
No way. I would never guess that.
155.9. I'm 5'8". I weigh 155.9 pounds. I am very healthy, very average. Like all of us, I try to take my pictures at good angles. I stopped drinking a year and a half ago. I am not on a weight loss drug. And it's not my fault that you want to try and make something that's not there, my friend.
I don't think she's really your friend. I think you're lying about that person being your friend. Jason Sudeikis says Ted Lasso was originally belligerent, but Donald Trump's behavior prompted changes. They had to change the show to make Ted Lasso more, not belligerent because of Trump. Okay, that's a good note to wrap this thing up. I got a bunch of work to do outside. Beautiful day. And a lot of farm stuff going on. But Britney's back. And she's more caffeinated than ever. Only spirituality will save this world, as Paul Romano definitely reported for the Apocalypse. And the Ascension, everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.